I'm Alex. I'm the CMO of The Daily, as Jordana so aptly said, which means I do everything with the magazine and the website for experiential events, content, everything else. We're obviously in a really interesting time for our industry and everybody else's in the world ever since this thing started with March and COVID, and now moving on to the social justice movement. But it's really a nice break to be here and to be with all of you and to speak to Coco, who is truly a force. I love the Wonder Woman analogy. She is the founder of the Coco Rocha model camp and also a co-owner of the Nomad management modeling agency. And, you know, in addition to being a force in front of the camera as the queen of pose, she's also, you know, behind the scenes doing amazing things with these companies and other initiatives. So we've got a lot we want to talk about. I will dive right in. Coco, please, if there's something about you that we've missed, feel free to share, and then we'll just hit the questions.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for doing this with us, Alex, because I really appreciate it. We were talking about how it's hard to be bubbly on Zoom sometimes, and you're like the queen of bubbly right now. So
big energy.
You get it.
Good. All right. So shall we dive in? I have a little, okay, there you are. You froze for me for a minute. Let's dive in. Why did you think it was necessary to create a model camp?
Go. I'm losing you.
Oop, is it me? Hi. Let's see what's going on here. Hello. Hi.
She's probably gonna drop, and there you go.
Am I back in?
She back in?
Am I here?
Were we all here? Yeah, you're here. I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay. Well, thank you, technology, for just reminding everybody that this is a process. Anyway.
I don't know if I lost myself or we lost you. Okay.
I don't know, but I hope I froze in like a really awkward facial.
No, you were good. I was like, I'll keep going. I don't know if
you're like, So diving into the questions.
Okay.
Why did you think it was necessary to create a model camp? And then for those that may not be familiar, can you tell us a little bit about what it is overall?
Yeah. How about we start with that? So Model Camp is a place where models from around the world, specifically women who are learning to educate themselves in, of course, the space of modeling, maybe posing, runway, but more importantly, their rights as a model, reading their contracts, what's acceptable at agencies, red flags in the industry, social media, branding, it's everything. Pretty much it's everything that I wish someone had taught me when I first started to model. And there was no such thing when I started modeling about 17 years ago. You know, you kind of just were thrown into it and hope for the best that it worked out. And then if it didn't, well, you're going to learn from your mistakes and you move on. You didn't really have a big sister relationship with anyone because, let's be honest, you're going to be replaced as the big sister. So why would you help out a younger generation if you will be replaced? Which is a sad thing to think, but now I've realized I will be replaced. It's going to happen. And I have been replaced on shoots and jobs, but why not be the big sister? Why not be the mentor to this new generation so that they can just have an awesome time and a great experience and great business women? Because in the end, they will shape what modeling is in the future. And I always want people to look at models as smart, educated business women. And that's not necessarily everyone's point of view of a model.
True. And you know what is really cool with you saying, you know, about being replaced and what to do, by setting this up, you actually are building a system where you aren't replaced. Even when you are, you're still very much a presence in the industry, and you've taught people hopefully some of these good values you have. So this is a very, very good business model. You're a smart woman.
I'm trying to stay around. So here we are.
So far, so good.
So good.
How long is the camp for? And, you know, I know you have a live camp, which has been impacted by COVID, and then you have the digital. So if you can tell us a little bit about each.
So if we didn't, pre-COVID, it was about 4 days, parts of 4 days. And then live, we do it once a week, and it's about 6 hours. And it is 6 constant hours. We get like a 10-minute bathroom break, get a snack, and then on we go. So unfortunately, to get the whole experience, that was as much as we could give to everyone during COVID. But I have to say, people, the girls and guys, because we actually open up to guys on live stream, really leave feeling so extra special, and they are really proud of what they're doing. So I feel like we're still accomplishing what we do in the 4 days.
Of course you are. I think it's great. 6 hours online, you and I were saying, it's
a lot.
It's a lot.
A lot of energy. And at the end, you're like, whoa, what did I just go through?
No, you're like, my face hurts from smiling, and you go, and it's just, you would love to have silence, but you have 2 little ones. So I don't know if you get to have that.
This is true. And it is interactive. So they do, pipe in with questions and point of views. So it's like, it's not like a recording where I could literally press play and walk away.
No. Well, speaking of, what's the most commonly asked question from the girls? Because I'm thinking about the live, but also from the guys.
Yeah. Just pretty much red flags that they should be looking out for in agencies and when they read their contracts, and just in the industry. A lot of experiences are given to me, and my husband James is also part of the program and teaching. So sometimes when we sit down for our sit-down discussions in model camp in person, it is, some people are, it's like therapeutic, and all of a sudden they will dive into something that's happened to them. And although I'm not a doctor, I am not a psychiatrist, going through a lot of the same things early on in my career, I give my point of view. So we definitely dive also into the issues of diversity in the industry, predator behavior, and what these girls recognize is that they are not alone in this, that they've all kind of experienced similar things, and how we can, how we can help the industry and to protect ourselves, and also hopefully, your fellow sisters. When you see something wrong, to realize we have a voice, you have the right to use it, and to please use it, so that it won't be, the next girl doesn't have to use her voice. It will be fixed. I would love to think everything will be fixed one day. And this is my way also of hopefully educating our girls so that they will be able to fix the future.
It's great. I mean, I think empowering people to not be silent is the root of change across all industries. I mean, I know right now we're talking about modeling and everything else, and we'll touch on some things later, but that's really, it's very cool of you. And I applaud you for teaching people that they're more than just this commodity in front of a camera, and to give them the tools to stand out. So
and that's what seems to be like the issue. Most girls start off very young in this industry, and they assume they must always agree, accept, say yes in order to have a career. And my way of saying it, I want you to have a career, but you can have the career that you want.
Right.
And you do not have to give up your belief system, your moral values, your compass, just because they say, well, it won't work that way.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Shake it up. So what has been your favorite moment from model camp so far?
Well, first of all, we have girls from around the world coming, and they have all of their own stories. And it is just so crazy how most of them leave. Some of them come shy, quiet, nervous, anxious, and everyone leaves empowered. And I'm not saying like what I do, I'm just some crazy, amazing human being. But when you let them open up. I mean, I am an open book, and I tell them all my stories if they want to hear them. And then they open up to each other and realize, like I said earlier, that they're not alone in this, that they haven't experienced something by themselves. And it is such a positive place. This isn't like some TV show where we bash each other and gossip or anything. Like it is, we all come around wanting to learn and improve on our careers. So I'm always just so impressed how empowered they are. And it really does affect me too, because pre-COVID, I would shoot and I would be, I don't know, a little jaded on a shoot, being like, oh, work, boring, whatever. These girls come in and like, oh, work, this is too exciting. I can't wait for another job. That also gets me. I'm like, you know what? I am lucky. I am proud of what I do and the way I do it. So they definitely help me too, if they don't know that.
That's so nice. It's a nice circle there. And I mean, I know what you're talking about in fashion. When you do something day in and day out that seems like the coolest thing in the world, it just stops, it loses its luster sometimes. But then you see somebody come in with that fresh face and that enthusiasm, and it can bring you back to what it used to feel like.
It's true.
So I'd love to move on to talk a little bit about Nomad, as that, talks, it's more of what you're doing in the industry. You're such a good advocate. Tell me a bit about the company, what made you join as a model and an owner in 2016? Was that when it happened?
Yeah, so for a long time in the industry, I started to use my voice talking on discussions of model rights, how they were being treated, the predator issues in the industry. And I realized that some people liked to hear what I was saying and some people hated what I was saying. And there was a little bit of backlash from a few individuals, which then kind of made other people think, let's get rid of this girl. This girl is always just kind of, a bull in the china shop. So I thought, is there another way for me to kind of show the industry that we need change? I love that there's a cat jumping around in your background.
He had to get in here.
And so I thought, how about instead of pointing to people or saying what's going on, how about I lead by example? And of course, not every time is leading by example, meaning it's going to always be perfect, but at least trying to show what is a good example. So by creating Nomad, I wanted good management, and I work with some amazing managers throughout my career that are part of Nomad. I wanted to make sure that the men and women that are the models, that they realize there's someone behind this that has gone through it, that will always listen. I will always take your side. And especially when some agencies will think of the model as not the client, but the actual client that is paying is the client to them. And that is dangerous because you're supposed to be protecting and taking care of ultimately the livelihood of these individuals, but you're not thinking of it that way. So I really wanted just to change that. And again, for them to have a voice. And I wanted them to learn how to be brands and strong men and women in this business, so that it's not around, you're not around for a season or two, you're around for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
As long as you want a model, we will be there to help you.
That's great. I know that the Nomad agency doesn't believe in a one size fits all approach, which you're talking about already, but what does that really mean? And do you have an example of how you might have tailored something, with a model or a client?
Yeah. I mean, the idea that, all models want the same jobs and they want the same careers, it's just not true. So the first thing you have to be doing when you sit down with your new model is, what do they want? What are the goals? What do they want to achieve? Are there do's and don'ts? Because everyone has a list, but shockingly, a lot of models don't realize they have the right, like I said, to have these lists. Right. And then from that point, it is then realizing what clients would work well with them. And you reaching out to these clients and saying, hey, I have this awesome new guy or a new girl that I really think would work well with you. It would mesh, it makes sense. But some agencies will just be waiting at the phone and they say, hey, we're looking for a model. And they just kind of give them 15, 20 names and hope for the best that you pick one of our models. And that's great for us because we still get the paycheck. Right. You're not thinking of the big picture, right? Because each model can work and each model can really benefit from really good management, which again, helps management teams, So it only helps everyone if we do it smartly and strong. And there's been so many conversations with models where you sit down with them and say, what do you want out of this? They're like, I'm actually surprised you're asking me that because I've never been asked that before. It's usually just like, all right, let's make some money. Let's get you famous and hope for the best here. Yeah. And I always say to anyone, even if you're not coming to Nomad, when you're talking to an agency, this is just a sideline for anyone who's watching, when someone promises you the world, meaning I can get that for you, I can do that for you, that's not a good thing. If they can say, I can work hard for you, I will try for you, that is a great thing. But when people can promise something that they know they don't have the right to promise, that's where I get eerie. So I want my team to always just fight hard, work hard, even if the end result, we don't get what we want, but we really work hard for it.
That's wonderful. And it's so strategic because in that way, you're building much more meaningful relationships with your models, and the clients can trust coming to you that you've really thought about who could be good for them. And it's not just, oh, here, I'm throwing spaghetti against a wall and we see what sticks. So
exactly.
It's a great.
We use that analogy at model camp. So.
Do you? Okay. I'll look at my post. Look, you're already inspiring me. So somehow with all of this, with model camp and Nomad, you've also managed to have a family and to be a momtrepreneur. So just in thinking about that, how do you and your family and your husband work as a team?
Well, husband and I work You would be surprised, but he is also my manager. He is one of the managers at Nomad. And he's been my manager for 10 years. In a few days, it's our 10-year anniversary of marriage. No, we will be not doing anything that special because we're here. However, you would think that it would be very difficult. And yes, sometimes it is difficult to work with your partner, but I have heard some horror stories and no, it's not that difficult. We always have this compromise. If there's someone that really believes in something, if business, wife, life, family, but if someone truly believes in something, the other one's kind of, let them have it. Like, let them have that, because there's going to be a moment where you are passionate about something. You believe this business opportunity is the right one. And we do think of this as a teamwork. So even though I'm the face of it, I know I popped up as James Conrad on my Zoom. We are a team. And if there's something I'm absolutely passionate about, he would step down and realize I'm not that passionate about it on the opposite end, so let her have it. That always works for us. And as a family, well, we are obsessed with being parents. It is our favorite thing in the whole wide world. So, and the great thing about our job is we get to travel usually. We don't have a 9 to 5. We work with different people. So Ione going to school, which is hopefully in September, she's been traveling, Ivor's been traveling with us, comes to photo shoots, experienced the arts of fashion like no other child, I'm assuming. And yes, is it hard for us? Oh my goodness, yes. We take them to Cannes Film Festival. We could just be at a hotel, having our brunch and then going out for an event, but instead we bring our kids, it's early morning, let's go to the beach, ice creams. Let's just make it super stressful, but also so exciting. So it works for us. It doesn't work for a lot of people, but it really works for us.
Oh, well, that is amazing. I've seen you keep your daughter engaged in your Instagram. You're very much an open book, which you said earlier, which I think is part of the reason why the world is so intrigued by you and follows you, is because I really do feel like I get insight into what your life is really like. It's not just, oh, this is the perfect, pretty picture. How have you balanced, besides bringing the kids with you, and keeping your daughter on Instagram, how are you mixing work and motherhood and, what's the reason for having her involved in those things?
Well, social media is like a reflection of who I am. So some people do like to hold things back and they have their right and reasons for it. But I have since pretty much day one, since we had Ione, and realized that I want to share pictures and stories just like anyone else. And it's been a learning curve because of course everyone has an opinion and wants to tell you how you mother wrong or correctly, or what you can change. However, we do it because friends ask, people ask, how do you do it all? We show the good, the bad, the silly, the ugly, all of it, and the glamorous. And I just love sharing. So it's not, I think it's because I grew up in social media from having nothing, having no voice as a model, no opinion, no personality, and then to all of a sudden have this place where I get to now just give you everything if I want to. So yeah, I don't give you everything. I still give a version of what I'm comfortable with, but even what I give is some people are not comfortable at all with. So like I said, my favorite thing to be is mom. I also model, I also do other things, and I want to share that with people to realize I don't do it all. I have teams from management, from grandmas and grandpas who help with the kids. Like grandpa right now, I can hear them running up and down I don't know what they're doing right now. But we have awesome support, and I definitely need that, but that was a sideline. But we do share everything because I want people to see it's real.
Right. That's wonderful. In the topic of mentorship, because you're really creating this beautiful world and a better place for people that are the generations behind, who were some of the women or men that mentored you?
Yeah, so early on in my career, I didn't really know much about it, and I didn't really look to anyone. And like I said, there wasn't really this handout or book assistance. But later on, I remember wanting to write this interview about the models of different generations, and the generation of Cindy Crawford and the generation of Amon, meaning AKA those women, they accepted willingly to answer my questions. I remember I had 50 questions for both of them. And I think Cindy Crawford answered 49. She said number 50 was a repeat. and that Iman, I think, answered like 47 of them. The girls that I reached out to my generation, no answer. And it was interesting. It was like, these are powerhouse women that didn't have to answer little old me. I was a nobody, but at least the girls of my own generation, you think, hey girl, I'll help you out. And it wasn't the case. So I have always looked up to those two women, from business, from branding, from how they speak. I mean, before COVID, I had an amazing dinner with Iman, and I still, like, every time I see her, I smile. I think she's like the smartest, comical, just, she's perfect. So anyone that's, again, watching this, I suggest you strongly look at Cindy Crawford's career and Iman's career, because they did change so much. Just to give a little example, Iman, I mean, this was a woman that went to photo shoots and they didn't have her makeup for her skin. And they would say, well, bring it next time because I don't have anything for you. And she was like, this is happening too often. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make cosmetics for Black women. And here we are, because of a model, everyone, you know, those silly people, decided to create a brand and a business based off of different people's skin color. And now everyone, Sephora, Rihanna, they have shades like no other because it came from a model way back then. So I think of people like her, although it must have been very hard for her to kind of just put her foot into the cosmetic world and say, we're going to do this. Sure enough, she changed everything for everyone. That's the kind of people I look up to.
Well, what a person to look up to. That story gave me chills. I hadn't even realized that about Iman. I mean, I knew about her business, but didn't know that that was the origin story. And that's actually a great segue into the last few questions that we have in this time together. We are obviously in a huge time of change and what's going on with social justice. How can the fashion and modeling community best respond to these changing times and the anti-racism movement?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, we just have to stop and listen. Fashion is the most resistant industry to change, which is shocking because it always talks about how they think of the, you know, 2 steps forward, but really it's 2 steps back in a lot of things. I mean, it was only because, let's take the example of the Me Too movement, that did the industry decide to look at itself, because it was forced to look at itself. Women were talking about the subject years ago. I talked on the subject of sexual harassment, and I even talked about the subject of photographers like Terry Richardson 10 years ago. And I was told if I continued to do what I was doing, I would be banned, I would be punished. It was my fault. So then here, 2018, Me Too movement happens, and all of a sudden the industry is like, yes, we're good. We will definitely, we always have. And these individuals that are up top weren't paying attention so many years ago. So this is the same thing that's going to probably happen again. And it's frustrating, but also, hey, if it had to happen, then let's get going. Let's have these conversations. And then from conversation, let's move into action.
Do you have any things that you're excited to do to help support this, or any changes that you're planning to make?
Well, I think, again, Model Camp is a reflection of what I think the industry should have been doing already. When you see these 25 models come together in one camp, what is so amazing, and I think that's what makes it so exciting, is 1, they come from around the world. 2, the different nationalities, the different color of skin, age, body. We have girls with disabilities that come to Model Camp, and maybe the first day they look at each other kind of like, your story is not the same as mine. And that doesn't seem like a traditional model, but by the end, they're crying after 4 days of how beautiful this, like, how there's room for everyone. They realize that. And so they go out there to their individual locations and are pretty much preaching this, saying there's room for all of us. I am beautiful. Maybe I'm a curvy, short model who's a little more mature in age, and I am fantastic, and there's space for me. So that is what we do at Model Camp. I want them to be their own cheerleaders, because guess what? This industry has not been the cheerleaders for representation. I'm sorry to say it, but let's also be honest. Models are the forefront in, this is what we believe as a company. This is the model we believe should be our muse. And if we all look alike, well, then that's the story we're telling the rest of the world.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I think that what you're doing is just awesome. And this has been such a pleasure chatting with you.
And I just want to say one thing I forgot to mention, but on Monday I have over about 100 models that we reached out to on just a discussion of diversity in the industry. And it's them talking to me and a few of our models. So it's just a discussion about exactly what's going on, but in the idea of models not having a voice. So anyone out there that wants to be a part of that, then you can check out my Instagram. You'll see it there. But I just wanted to
good. Put that
out there.
It's an important conversation to have, so people can find out about details for that on your Instagram.
Instagram, yeah, you'll see a post there.
Cool. Well, we're going to be wrapping up soon, but I have a couple of questions from the audience that I want to send your way. First one is, somebody is modeling an agency that they're building of working with stylists in a similar model of your model camp. What advice would you give to somebody setting up a business like that?
1 second. Sorry, say the question again. I lost you at the beginning.
Oh, okay. So somebody is setting up an agency working with stylists, and it's modeled after your model camp structure. So what advice would you give?
I guess if you're looking for like a pathway, then I suggest if you have your own moral compass that you've decided to follow, then that is the pathway. Of course, there are some agencies out there, styling, hair, makeup, whatever you, specific genre. There have been good and bad, but you really, I think, as looking for the right team, it is so important that the team members are exceptional. So I always say to the models, guess what? We can find models all day long, but to find good management, it is very tough. So I would say that's the first thing to really look out for, is who are these people that are going to represent you and represent these individuals, and will they work hard, is the biggest goal.
That's great. And one final question. This is a big one, but we're going to do it in 1 minute or less. How are women entrepreneurs accepted in the fashion world? Do you think that there's still profound inequalities between women and men entrepreneurs?
Yeah, it's hard because I come from the model side, and models are paid, as women, we are paid 2 to 3 times more than men. It is one of the only industries where women are looked up to as, well, let's be honest, they're not really looking at us as a personalities and what our thinking ability is. It's just like beauty and what sells. So that is frustrating, because I come from a sort of a different side where already I have a little stand up, and some people do, is like, they get all excited, like, isn't that great? You get paid. I still want equal for everyone. So those male models, I want them to have that same sort of freedom, just like in any other industry. I want women having the same opportunities because you're good at it, not because of the color of your skin or the sex that you are, just because you're really good at it. So in this industry, there are individuals that see that, understand that right away. And then there's some other people, I say, they're very old fashioned in fashion. And will we be able to train them or teach them? I don't think so. I think it's once they retire, they're pushed out, and there's new blood. Hopefully those individuals understand that good, like I said, good talent is better than anything in this industry.